There's 125 million Bitcoin accounts out there, as far as we can tell. We think it'll scale to 1 billion in the next 4 years. But we are very, very early. People ask me how early. I said, we haven't even broke spring training yet. Forget about what inning we're in. We haven't even headed north out of spring training. So very, very early. Psychologically, some can't get their arms around that because they had the chance to buy Bitcoin at $500 a coin, $1 a coin, $1,000 a coin. But what has happened, which I'm impressed by, is the storage capabilities and the ease of being able to purchase Bitcoin. I can go to Coinbase, I can go to Binance, I can go to BlockFi. I've got places where I can put my Bitcoin, buy my Bitcoin, and know that it's safe, that I don't have to worry about my keys being stolen. MicroStrategy, stories related to Elon Musk, all of a sudden, boom, you're creating great Bitcoin appreciation. A little bit of bad news, there's leverage in the system, boom, you're creating a deceleration. That boom and bust cycle is usually associated with the early adoption of things. I can take you to a chart of Amazon, Facebook, Google, anything that's scaling pursuant to Metcalfe's law and the networking effects that people are benefiting from now in the age of the internet has this boom bust feature to it. But what I'm impressed with Bitcoin is that remarkably, Bitcoin is anti-fragile. Because if you sit down and you go from an $8,000 coin a year ago to a $30,000+ coin today, and let's say we didn't have the 65,000 blow off top, if I said to you, well, it's July of 2020, Scott, and I'm going to tell you right now, sometime in July, right after the 4th of July holiday, Bitcoin is going to be worth 33,000 a coin. You would have been euphoric. The Bitcoin community would have been euphoric. It's the psychology of going through that and seeing a $64,000 print that is unsettling to people. But I see that as a positive. I see that as a supply-demand shortage. I see that as sensitivity to the fact that it's a tight market. If BlackRock hypothetically came in and said, okay, we're going to buy 100, million, 500 million, you pick the number. Let's say they bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. It would sizably move the markets. And so, you've got tight supply, and I think you have constant news stories, Scott, that are positive about Bitcoin, positive about the ecosystem, positive about adoption. El Salvador, it's only 7 million people. I get it, but it is a country that is accepting Bitcoin now as legal tender. Facebook, is now thinking about ending Libra using Bitcoin. Square, Bitcoin. PayPal, Bitcoin. You can build this case that, there's more good news about Bitcoin in the last 12 months than at any time in the history of Bitcoin in terms of where Bitcoin is going. They're in general positive. Even the latest thing from the Bitcoin Mining Council, where 56% of the miners are now using renewable energy. And so the whole specious argument that Bitcoin isn't green it's a specious argument. It's an argument thrown out there by people that should have bought those coins at 500. They're now pissed that they're at 33,000. So they're throwing eggs and tomatoes at Bitcoin. Primarily because they missed that movement. But my message to those people is that we're just getting started. Anything below 40,000 to me is a screaming buy in Bitcoin. I mean, these coins are on sale right now. A year from now, I just said to you, it's July 2020, and I'm predicting July 2021. Well, let me get invited back. Hopefully you'll invite me back 1 year from now. And these coins will likely be close to $100,000 a coin. And you'll be like, okay, why did I miss that 2-3 to 1 bump? Well, I missed it because people were telling me that I would be the stupid one. I'd be the last person into the story. Excuse me. If you remember, that was Amazon. Amazon has gone from a $10,000 investment on its IPO to $21,140,000 today. I want you to think of the magnitude of that. If you had just the strength to buy Amazon in 97 $10,000, now worth $21 million today. But you would have had to subject yourself to 50% downdrafts in Amazon. And there was one really bad one after the 2008 financial crisis. It was down 70%. And the front page of Barron's, the weekly financial news magazine, the front page was Amazon.bomb and why the end is coming for Amazon. And yet, if you just held out, you got the direct benefits of all of what Robert Metcalfe talked about when he discussed Metcalfe's law and the scalability of a network. And Bitcoin is that. In fact, Bitcoin is growing faster than Amazon, Facebook, Google. It's pacing the internet in terms of its adoption. If you think about the internet's move from 1995 and the introduction of Netscape to 2007, that 12-year move, Bitcoin is moving faster, and there's more adoption of Bitcoin than there was the internet.
Well, I think most early Bitcoin adopters probably sold at $1,000.
No question. I have a lot of friends of mine that got shaken out at lower prices, but I didn't come in until higher prices. I will say this to Bitcoiners everywhere. Nobody feels that they're early. Nobody, unless your name is Satoshi Nakamoto. I got in at 10,000 a coin. I've been buying through. My last printed coin was 63,200. I, of course, have bought coins since that print. So I've been buying coins every month, but I haven't gotten the low print either. I'm buying regularly, weighted average dollar cost averaging into the coins. But my point is, I don't know a person that owns a Bitcoin that thinks they got there early. They all shake their heads and said, well, I could have bought it at 10, 50, 100. But remember something, somebody like me is not buying it back then. Hard to store, would have had to put it on a USB or my laptop. There wasn't Coinbase Pro or Fidelity Digital Assets. I couldn't feel comfortable scaling into Bitcoin if there wasn't a safe place to store it that I didn't feel was impenetrable from hacking, or even if it got hacked, it had a layer of insurance and so forth. So the world is changing, and with that, the adoption story will change and it'll make it better.
Do you think that there's a number of market cap?
I do. I think if it sustains itself over $1 trillion in market cap. So it was there briefly for probably a 6-week period of time. But if it were actually to sustain itself, meaning it got there and you could see that it had reached escape velocity, and to what Plan B talks about is stock to flow model, it's the supply has tightened and the demand is robust, then yes, I think people will start adopting it. And remember, you are buying something. When someone says to you, well, it's technologically worthless, it's just a cryptograph. I was listening to Senator Elizabeth Warren discuss it, and I was like, okay, wow, she really is this unknowledgeable, which is actually scary because she's making the laws of the United States. And so she sounded like a central banker when she was talking about it. I mean, Bitcoin is for the little people. It's not for the big people. Bitcoin is an empowerment move. And, what I would say, when you step back and you look at the whole landscape of everything, if we get this right, Bitcoin will improve the society, and it's worth something because of its network. Don't think it's worthless because it's a cryptograph. There's a network effect. It's the same why all these phones tied to each other is worth something. It's the same reason, an old-fashioned network, Coca-Cola. It's a bottler, a distributor, it has trucks, and it moves beverages across 6 continents. Coca-Cola is the second most recognized phrase in the English language. Number 1 is okay. Number 2 is Coke or Coca-Cola. Everybody knows what it is. If we destroyed all the bottling plants, destroyed all of the equipment related to Coke, and we went to Wall Street and we said we had these 2 words, Coca-Cola, we'd like to raise billions of dollars to recreate that. Could we do it? And the answer is yes. So there's a value in the network. The word Bitcoin, 125 million users, scaling to 1 billion users, the word itself has value. The same way the URL cars.com has value. These are locations where a network exists, and in Bitcoin's case, it's a store of value network or a monetary network. And on its own, that in itself is quite valuable. Okay, 1 billion users is roughly 8 times more than we are right now. And so Bitcoin, okay, I actually think we're undervalued and technically oversold here. So I would have thought that Bitcoin would be where we are in terms of users at 50,000. So intrinsic fair value to me would be about $400,000 a coin at 1 billion users, because again, you have fixed supply and you've got less than 21 million coins out there. You and I both know that the mining finishes 2140, in the year 2140, but you've also lost coins in the process of adoption. We've probably got 2 or 3 million coins that have been misplaced. They could be in a landfill, they could be on an old BlackBerry or somebody's laptop that was jettisoned in 2010. And so a result of which you've got probably 18 million coins in the universe. There are 48 million millionaires on planet Earth, according to JP Morgan. Well, there are only 18 million Bitcoins in existence. You don't even have enough Bitcoins for every millionaire on planet Earth to own one coin. So you can't tell me that the scarcity properties of this are not going to drive prices higher. And remember, what are you getting from Bitcoin? Stored value component, transferability, the ease of transferability, the impregnability of the blockchain. These are super valuable things if you really study money, the ascent of money, and the history of money.